Boom. We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to talk about social media censorship and trial by internet, anonymous internet allegations. Yeah, you guessed it. We're going to be talking about Mr. Russel Brand. This is a little bit disturbing, so I'm going to try to be as contextual as possible with some of the stuff and make a few comments as I go. But within the last few days, Rumble had received a request from the UK Parliament. I'm going to read this word for word because this is historic in context. This is not how we do things. If you are able to anonymously attack through alleged there's no, even if the allegations are true, this is not how things are done. We're setting such a horrible precedent for our future selves. This is what tyranny and the final throes of government and society look like before you end up in a total dictatorship. So I wanted to make this video because although I'm focused on investments and how people should invest their money, I think how we invest our time and interest within our society together is hyper important. So I'm going to read this book. I'm going to read these out. I've got a few pages here. I don't normally do this, but I just think it's so important to go over this. So it says, today we received an extremely disturbing letter from a committee chair in the UK Parliament. Well, Rumble obviously deplores sexual assault, rape, and all serious crimes and believes that both alleged victims and the accused are entitled to a full and serious investigation. It is vital to note that the recent allegations against Russel Brand have nothing to do with the content on Rumble's platform. Now, in 2017, my channel started to get hit. There were serious changes in the YouTube algorithm somewhere in 2016, 2017, where I noticed a massive drop in my ability to grow the channel. Now, everyone had always talked, oh, well, shadow bans aren't real, it doesn't happen. But we learned from the Twitter files that yes, these corporations do that. They hide under some pseudonymous name of what that actual shadow banning is called, so that they can always say, no, we don't do that. We do something else, which is basically the exact same thing. We just call it something different. So it's not the same thing. And this is what's been happening in government for the last more specifically the last 3 years, is they'll say one thing and it is the exact opposite. Now, we're at war right now, from what I can tell, but this is not a kinetic war. This is not a war fought with guns, bullets, and bombs. And anywhere you see on the mainstream media trying to hype up the idea that this will or could be a kinetic war, they're lying to you. This is a psychological and informational war. And sometimes the shots that they fire are clearly biological. This is a very dangerous time for our society. And I feel that one of the most important things we can each do is speak up. So YouTube, and I'm going to keep reading these. Says just yesterday, YouTube announced that based on basically only on media accusations, that it was barring Mr. Brand from monetizing his video content. Rumble stands for very different values. We have devoted ourselves to the vital cause of defending a free speech internet, or free internet, meaning an internet where no one arbitrarily dictates what ideas can or cannot be heard, or which citizens may or may not be entitled to that platform. We regard it as deeply inappropriate and dangerous for the UK Parliament that would attempt to control who is allowed to speak on our platform or to earn a living from doing so. So they responded. This is the actual House of Commons writing to the CEO of Rumble as well. So this is the first email. I wanted to start with Rumble because I believe it's more important than whatever the government is saying at that point. But they're like, yo, what up, bro? Dear Chris, I'm writing you concerning the serious allegations. Now, first off, these folks already recognize that this is nothing but allegations. There's no, hey, we know that he's done something criminal and it's recorded on your platform and we want you to remove that. It's none of that. So they're basically saying, well, this is from the UK, so there's no Section 230. It's probably something different, and this potentially why they're operating this way. The Culture, Media, and Sports Committee, like whoever that is raising questions while the broadcasters and the production companies who previously employed Mr. Brand to examine both the culture of the industry in the past and whether the culture still prevails today. Now, I was reading an article, something about like Nicki Minaj had openly talked about robbing people and being a criminal, and they never banned her. So This is very poignant to understand that if you have a rule that just only applies when it's necessary to the narrative that's being constructive, then what we have is not equal justice per se. We just have focused allegations based off the narrative that those are trying to defend. So, however, we are looking at his use of social media, including on Rumble, where he issued his preemptive response to the accusations. Well, yeah, because when people just anonymously make accusations, what are you going to do? You're going to tell everybody what you think. I mean, that's only logical, right? So why would he not do that? Well, we recognize that Rumble is not the creator of the content published by Mr. Brand. We are concerned that he may be able to profit from his content on the platform. Well, you should be able to profit from whatever it is that you do. And this is exactly the same thing that they did to the Canadians and the truckers. They said, we're going to make it. We're going to turn your bank accounts off. And I bet that this is what will come next. Russell will be facing the loss of his bank accounts from these allegations. And the importance of decentralization in money, in identity, in government will become the most blazingly obvious choice. And I've said this many times before, Bitcoin will become the most valuable in terms of price when people realize that those freedoms to transact, to be who you want, are slowly being eroded one by one. So it says, we would be super grateful if you could confirm whether Brand is able to monetize his content or not, including the videos relating to his serious accusations against him. Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's just so Orwellian. It's hard to even encapsulate in any form of word here how ridiculous what this is. But it didn't stop there. They actually went out and then sent also a letter to TikTok. And again, same thing here. Oh, we recognize that Mr. Brand, it's nothing to do with TikTok, but we'd please like you to demonetize him because we don't like that he has money or has a platform or can speak freely about what it is that he's going through. Okay, so I woke up this morning to find this, and this is why I thought I would make I wanted to make this video. So Max Blumenthal and the Gray Zone News, a little bit of dyslexia there from Tio this morning. He had edited a video that was using this content from Russel Brand, and it was demonetized as well. Now, we don't monetize anything on this channel. One of the things I realized is once they shadow banned us, it became basically useless to want to monetize because they just won't let you grow. We've said enough things. We've had PhDs and physicists about why climate change is nonsense or why the climate is always changing, basically. It's not nonsense. The climate always changes. It changes because we live in an infinitely variable galaxy flying around an interstellar star at unimaginable speeds, and we're worried about a gas that has 0.04% of the entire makeup of the environment and atmosphere that we live in. And because of that, I was hit. So to see a reputable news source making content about an idea, having it demonetized, just shows us how deep we are in this war, where you cannot even make a commentary on the thing that is going on without getting demonetized. It is incentivization to remove the conversation from the public sphere entirely. So hats off to Rumble and X. I actually post all my content on there, and I've started posting all of my videos here on X and YouTube as well, because I feel that it's not, in no short term will I go from being shadow banned, where it's been impossible to grow the account, to one day they're just going to kick me off entirely. This is the same reason we run a newsletter. Go to arcanebear.com, sign up for our free newsletter. If it doesn't work for some reason, it's because we're rebuilding the website. I'm sorry. But nonetheless, what we need right now is more decentralization. And it got me thinking. It reminded me of this, and I want to share this story. This is from the Holocaust Encyclopedia. This is a story about Martin Niemöller, 1892 to 1984. He was a prominent Lutheran pastor in Germany, and in the 1920s and early 30s, he sympathized with many of the Nazi ideals and supported radically right-wing or left-wing, depending on how you want to look at it, political movements. It's all the same. But after Adolf Hitler came into power in 1933, Niemöller became an outspoken critic of Hitler's interference in the Protestant Church. He spent the last 8 years of Nazi rule from 1937 to 1945 in Nazi prison camps and concentration camps. Niemöller is perhaps best remembered by his prominent statement, which begins, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out." And I wanted to share this because I made a tweet yesterday and I think it would have been better reworded like, first they came for Julian Assange, then they went after Edward Snowden. And because I wasn't Edward Snowden, it didn't matter. Because I wasn't Julian Assange, well, I just let them get away with it. And we're at a point right now where there are very few people left. And if they're coming after Russell as well, this is what they do. They throw up these intensified allegations and hope to crucify you trial by media style. So this is very, very dangerous stuff. So I think it's important to be aware of at the very least. And the reason why it's so important is because if you can get away with just talking about normal things that go along with the narrative, there's a point where we all fail because truth is no longer the most valuable thing. It's just whatever is most profitable. And if we're a society that only values the most profitable thing instead of the truth, we are heading down a very dark and disturbing pathway. It's one of the reasons why I live in the middle of the jungle in Costa Rica. I've got 25,000 liters of water storage, a little private creek on the property, hundreds of fruit trees, a greenhouse, backup generators, and solar if I need to. And because of this, I moved myself away from what I perceive to be the steamrolling government of a tyrannical nature, just trying to roll over anybody and everybody that gets in their way and disrupts their agenda. So I'm going to read this to you, the original one, because I think it's important. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, for I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I'm not Jewish. But then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. Martin Niemöller. I can't tell you how powerful it is to understand this. When society is crucifying people through allegations and very few are standing up because, hey, yeah, look, I'm not a trade unionist, or I'm not a Jew, or I'm not any number of other affiliations or identities, they will come after everyone eventually. That's what always happens. I'll be the target soon, and then you will be the next target. This is not a thing we can just look away from. Again, this is how we fight. I don't know, at least bring more awareness and try to rile these ideas up around a conversation. But poems like this by Martin Niemöller, I think, share a very real importance to understand that as these things start to take place, this is what it looks like. So regardless of whether you think the allegations against Russell are true or not, those should be decided in a court of law. And I'm pretty sure a lot of this stuff doesn't even stand up to like normally if you want to file some type of suit or allegation, criminal or civil, there's an amount of time you can do that within. It's called a statute of limitations. And if you don't in that amount of time, then there's nothing really you can do other than this trial by social prejudice. And this is not how we do things in a civil society. We do not remove people's ability to generate income or be a respected person through allegations when there's no proof other than their conversation. You need to go back. There needs to be some type of general hearing. This is not how we do this. Anyways, I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in YouTube. It got bad in 2017. It's gotten worse over the last few years. Our ability to speak about anything controversial, anything that goes against the narrative is being taken away one by one. And if you think you have freedom, if you can't speak out against the thing that you don't like now, you might be okay with what it is they're doing, but eventually they will come for you as well. Anyways, not a super exciting video today, but I did want to share my thoughts because I think this is such a hyper important part of the conversation. It's one of the reasons why I started Arcane Bear as well, is I thought it was important to have more individual voices in a time where centralization appeared to be trying to eat everything. Over the next 50 years, though, we're going to see a massive boom in decentralization, and it's one of the reasons why we're making such big bets on this technology is because tyranny cannot exist forever, and better choices, remarkably better choices, things like Bitcoin, they will replace it eventually. As this old, dying, decaying tree in society falls, there's some new undergrowth there to take it up. So some optimism to leave you with because the rest of it's not a lot of fun. But the Arcane Bear, boom. Well, hopefully we'll see you on another video. They can't demonetize me because I don't monetize this channel.